So let's look at some commands to manipulate files, move them around and copy them, rename them, delete them, things that we're pretty used to doing in a graphical type of environment. So the first one we'd like to know is, well, how about how to rename files? For instance, let's say I want to specify that my grocery list should be this week's grocery list. So we can rename files with the command mv for move. So you move files, you don't necessarily rename them, although it's the same concept. So let's rename my grocery list here to this week's list. So move takes the first argument is the original file name, and the second argument is the file name that you would like to rename it to. So now if we do ls, we can see that I have this week's list. So likewise, I can move it right back. Move also does move files. For instance, we can move my grant proposal into the secret stuff folder. So here we're taking grant proposal and the second argument secret stuff, so it will actually place this file under secret stuff. And now if we do ls secret stuff, we'll see that my grant proposal is now there. Now copying files is just as easy. It's simply a matter of using cp instead of mv, and it takes, like mv, an initial argument, which is the file that you wish to copy, and then argument of the file name that you would like to copy it to. So here we'll take file 1 and copy it to file 2, and we see we've created file 2. And to remove or delete files, we simply use the command rm, which is short for remove. So we can remove file2.txt since we already have a copy of it. And we can see we've removed the file. Making directories is also pretty easy. It's just simply mkdir for make directory. So we can make a directory called silly. And now if we do ls, we'll see that silly is one of our directories. And we can also remove a directory with rmdir. So let's make another directory called temp. And here we'll copy my grocery list to it. Now if we try and remove the directory temp with rmdir, remove dir, we'll see that the command complains. Directory is not empty. So rmdir, or remove dir, only removes directories that are completely empty. So we need to remove the contents of temp, and we'll remove the copy list, verify that temp is empty, and now we can remove it. Well, what about the scenario where we have a directory that's filled with many files? We don't want to remove them individually, one line per file. So let's bring back our temp directory from the dead, and we'll go into it. And let's create a few empty files here. So there's another shortcut that I'm using here, which is the history. So most shells retain a history, and you can cycle back and forth through that history by simply pressing up on the keyboard. So here I can go through my history line by line, and if I push down I can move back to more current commands. So here we'll create a few files. So we've got 4 files in the temp directory. So let's hop back out of that. Now suppose I want to remove those. One option is to remove each of them explicitly, but that's not the good lazy way to do it. What we really need is some sort of operator that allows us to capture all the files. That operator exists, and it's called the wildcard. This wildcard is the asterisk, or star. The star will match any file. So here, if I do rm temp star, and now we can ls our temp directory, we'll see that it's empty. So this is an extremely handy, very powerful, and sometimes dangerous tool. We can actually use star or asterisks in a more useful, sort of limited way. So let's again bring back temp from the dead. And bring back our files. And let's say I have a JPEG file in here. They don't really exist, but all the same. If we ls, we now see I have 5 files in here. So let's say I wanted to remove every file that was only a text file. Well, for that I can do rm star.txt. And this way the wildcard stops matching at the point that it ends with a .txt file. So here, cool.jpg will not be removed. So we've removed all the text files. There's another wildcard, the question mark. So let's make a few more files here. And now we have files 1, A1, and cool.jpg. So let's say I wanted to remove all files that had just one character before the txt. So we can use the question mark to represent a single character. And now we will see that I've removed one.txt but not a1.txt by specifying remove question mark .txt. This can also be placed in the middle of the file names. So let's bring back one.txt, and we can use multiple question marks, one per character. So let's say we now have a text file, and let's say we want to remove any file that has a .t followed by any character. So we can rm star .t question mark. So this wildcard will match anything before the extension, the dot. And then it matches a T only, followed by any 2 characters. But it must be at least 2 characters. Or rather, it must be 2 characters following the T. So here, we can see that we've removed both the text files and the text file, leaving only the JPEG file. So another way to easily remove a directory is through the rm command, which we normally use to remove files, but since a directory is seen as a file in Linux, we can also use it. But we have to feed it 2 flags here. R is recursive, so descend through any other directories that are contained within the directory that we're acting on. and F is force. That is, force the removal of the file, even if it is a directory. So let's see what happens if we don't give the F command, the force, the F flag that is. And we just tell it to remove recursively our temp directory. Whoops, so apparently I was wrong. The -r was enough to descend into the temp directory, remove its contents, and then remove the temp directory itself. If you were ever presented with a situation where it descended into the directory and then complained or asked for a prompt, you can instead automate that process just by saying rm-rf, where the F flag means force. Do not prompt me, just remove it. So this is powerful. It's pretty useful, but it can also be very dangerous. For instance, if I were to rm rm-rf star, this would remove everything in this current directory. I would never see it again. So be careful when removing files. Make sure it's what you want to do, because there is no trash bucket in the shell. And use the combination of -rf very carefully.